Okay, I will present my first case. This is a 14-year-old girl. I saw this girl almost about 25 years before when I was in Ganpati Netralaya. There was no family history of glaucoma, and her vision was 6 and 6 in both the eyes, and slit lamp examination otherwise was within normal limit. And I performed the gonioscopy. I did not see any goniodysgenesis in any of the eye or any abnormality in the angle. The intraocular pressure measured was 24 and 27 millimeter of mercury, and the central corneal thickness was almost normal. Unless there was obviously no pathology. So this was the right eye disc and this was the left eye disc. Obviously, the size is little bigger, but when you see the left eye disc carefully, you would realize that yes, there is a significant amount of the cup is large in both the eyes, but here the neuroretinal rim is perfectly healthy. Here there is a significant pellar from here to here. The 14 years old girl with a significant pellar, obviously, I did the perimetry for this girl. The right eye was normal. The left eye was the inferior orchid scotoma, which was obviously correlating with the disc finding. And obviously, it was not neurological. So I put her on the beta blocker twice a day in both the eyes because the pressure was abnormal in the right eye as well. And 2 years later, the pressure was around 22, 24 millimeter of mercury in both the eyes. I did the perimetry again, and left eye, it progressed significantly. So I advised the PG analog in the left eye, and she continued the PG analog for a pretty long time, and I followed her for almost 3-4 years to her, and her glaucoma was not progressing. But then subsequently, she underwent a trabeculectomy in both the eyes, and she did her medical education. She did the ophthalmology, and she did the glaucoma fellowship from Arvind, and she is now somewhere. I don't want to disclose. You would come across with her sometime. But the first point which I would like to ask that when I was not able to see the goniodysgenesis, did I miss, or you can say that there is some abnormality in the posterior trabeculum as well. So obviously you cannot see through the gonioscopy, but because of that, it was a developmental glaucoma. That was question number one. Question number two, obviously, when I started her on a PG analog, a young girl with lots of periorbital pigmentation and hypertrichosis, she was not at all comfortable. So it is the point to be discussed because most of these patients over a period of time develop significant amount of prostaglandin associated periorbitopathy, and they come with lots of cosmetic side effects. So these are the two things which probably, I would like to discuss with you people, that at the first place, I would have done the surgery for her and to prevent her from the progression, or what would you suggest?
I think your initial approach was right, because it's very difficult to just go ahead and do the surgery to begin with. And but if the patient had told you right initially that yes, there is a development of hypertrichosis and she is uncomfortable, I think some of these young patients, they really do well on surgery. So since lifelong medications starting from that very age is bound to give side effects and mental this thing and financial cost problems, one probably can think of surgery also. Manish?
So I definitely think that we have to have a bias towards early surgery in younger patients, because the young patient you want to treat very aggressively, and actually you started the treatment and with beta blocker and you got pressures only in 20s, if I am not mistaken. Did I get wrong? Yeah, I would not have been satisfied there itself. I would have wanted pressures to come down closer below 18 at least. So I would like to treat aggressively, that is fixed. Now I know that this PG analogs are very good for older people, but for young people, and especially fair-skinned people, it is terrible because it produces so much of signs on the cosmetic changes, and young people are not going to accept this very well, and the relatives also are not willing to accept. So I would definitely think of trying to put on other drops and then go for early surgery rather than use too much of prostaglandins. Definitely. And one more point I would like to see is once I would in that left eye, probably I would have given a trial of SLT. I know SLT is not the best treatment for juvenile glaucomas or developmental glaucomas, but there is no harm in trying. There's no flip side. If you are willing to try prostaglandins, which are going to cause so much of side effects, why not try SLT also? I would have given a try.
Yeah,
Because-
it was way back in 1998, and at that time the PG analog was very new, so we were very excited to give the PG analog. That was number one. Number two, yes, we did have the SLT in way back in 1999 and 2000 for a trial, but the problem was that there was one thing in our mind that she might be having a goniodysogenesis, and if it's a goniodysogenesis, then the SLT
it's not going to work.
will not work. Then I did the follow for this girl till I was there, and then surgery was done by the consultant there itself. So, but she was in touch with me, and when she got admitted in medical college, she did contact me. And when she entered into ophthalmology, at that time also she contacted me. And when she joined the glaucoma fellowship, at that time also she contacted. Now she
I
is
have
married.
one-
Well.
Can we move
I have
on to the
one-
next
one-
case? Because I
You
think
want to go ahead with your next case? There's one more question I want to ask. Do you check IOP in every 14-year-old who comes to you in the OPD?
No, because she was a DIS suspect, so that's why I checked the IOP.
okay, it was a disrespect. Fine.
So this is again, the second is again a known case, a good friend of mine, a neurosurgeon by profession, 50-year-old, hypertensive for 5 years, came to me with a complaint of occasional headache. And obviously coming to me was for the second opinion because he was diagnosed to have a glaucoma by some other ophthalmologist. His vision was 20/20, the pressure was 20 and 22. Corneal thickness was normal. Gonioscopy was wide open angle. And obviously I look for every possible things which may cause the glaucoma, like PDS and past uveitis and history of steroid use or abuse and pseudoexfoliation and so on and so forth. But everything was negative. The fundus was normal. The OCT and perimetry was advised, and this was the first picture of the disc, and you can see that there is slight vertical enlargement of the cup on the left side. But we did the OCT, and the OCT was absolutely normal, and on deviation web though there was this little bit of defect, but superpixel coded image was absolutely normal. We did the perimetry, and the perimetry was normal because he was my good friend. So I continued to do OCT and the perimetry very frequently. And then he was also became quite confident, and he lost for follow-up because he said that he doesn't have a glaucoma, though he was labeled as a test suspect. But one fine day when he came to me, I did the OCT for him, and I saw that there is a little changes, and when you see the segmental image, you can see that there is a little RNFL loss over here, and in the superpixel coded image also there was a yellow discoloration. And when I saw the disc, there was a RNFL defect on the inferotemporal side, perimetry, and there was a little bit of superior arcuate scotoma. So obviously, we started the treatment, and after that, he became conscious, and every time he used to say that, whenever I operate on the microscope, sometimes, I miss something superiorly, so I am uncomfortable. But probably it is more related to because he has become more conscious. But my question to you is that, this was the time when I would have started the treatment after looking at this, which was very looking like a glaucomatous disc and not dependent on the OCT and the perimetry. And if yes, then what treatment I would have started at that time?
Was there a family?
No.
Sorry, I missed Pradeep.
No family history of glaucoma.
And what was the thickness, corneal thickness?
Normal, 520 approximately.
So you can't dream of that with everything normal. It's very, very tough. So really,
So yeah, it was a very tough call. Looking at here, initially I thought that I should have started treatment.
So what was
But
the gap?
obviously,
What was the gap between this?
no, it was in Pavitra Netralaya. and this was in our CFS.
So means the
So obviously there was a gap of almost 2 to 3 years.
2-3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, he was lost for follow-up in
So
between.
I see that this is a classical case where the central field has to be checked even in early glaucoma.
Definitely. So here your 24 days to C comes, our central 10 days
Or
to
10-2. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, I always have a guilt. Whenever I meet him, I always have a guilt that, whether, because of now everything is stable and it's almost 3 years now. The fields are not progressing. His pressure is 14. There is little bit of hypertrichosis and hyperpigmentation, but he's tolerating well. And the another thing, I want to bring out this, I never did the diurnal variation. No one has raised this point. I never did the diurnal variation. So there is, the utility of diurnal variation. And I would like to bring out one point over here. If you cannot do the diurnal variation, then the water drinking test is good. At least it tells you the peak. What is the peak intraocular pressure? Ask the patient to drink 1 liter of water and check the intraocular pressure after half an hour, 1 hour, maybe. So you would come to know the peak. So that is the thing probably which I might have missed. So, and obviously, close friends. So every time you don't dilate and you don't do the detailed examination because he's in hurry, you are in hurry. So there are a couple of messages that, always think that every patient is the same patient, whether he is a minister or IAS or a good friend or a family member. Then do the detailed examination. Number 2, I think I have missed the 24 hours IUP check, the diurnal variation. And if there was no time, then at least I would have done the water drinking test. All these old age tests, they have some value still in the present era. So that is what, couple of points I would like to.
And yes,
mention.
definitely what Manish was saying. I think now we should start doing 10-2 in such patients. Because